Most food deliveries are simple: pick up, drop off, and move on. But every now and then, something feels off. An address that wasn't there before, a customer that doesn't seem quite right, a delivery that takes a turn no one could have expected. Tonight, we bring you 3 eerie stories from drivers who thought they were just completing another shift, until they found themselves in situations they'll never forget. Stay with us until the end, because these stories might change the way you see late-night deliveries forever. Imagine delivering to the same house every Saturday night for months, only to realize no one ever opens the door, yet the food always disappears. A food delivery driver thought it was just another routine order. Same meal, same instructions, no tip, but when the order suddenly stopped, he thought it was over. Until one night, the address came back. And this time, the instructions had changed. What he discovered inside will make you question everything. Stay with us until the end, because this story only gets darker. My name is Diego, and I work as a food delivery driver in Miami. I've been doing this job for over a year, and by now, nothing surprises me. I've delivered to fancy high-rises, rundown motels, massive gated mansions, every kind of place you can imagine. But there's one address I can't forget. It started about 3 months ago. Every Saturday night, like clockwork, an order would come through for a house in a quiet, isolated neighborhood on the outskirts of town. The meal was always the same: a large pepperoni pizza, a side of garlic knots, and a bottle of Coke. There was never a tip, never a change in instructions. The notes always said, "Leave food at the door. Do not knock." At first, I didn't think much of it. Some people are private. Some are antisocial. Some just want their food without small talk. I respected that. So, every Saturday night, I picked up the order, drove to the house, and left the food on the porch. Within minutes, the food would be gone. But something about it started to bother me. The house was always dark. No lights on inside. No movement. No sound of a TV or music. No sign of anyone living there at all. And yet, every single time, the food disappeared before I even turned the corner. One Saturday night, curiosity got the better of me. I decided to watch. I parked a little down the street, where I had a clear view of the house. After dropping the food off at the door, I drove a block away, turned off my headlights, and waited. 10 minutes passed. The food sat untouched. 20 minutes. Nothing. I started to feel ridiculous. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe the customer waited until I was completely gone before opening the door. Some people are paranoid about being seen. Just as I was about to give up, my phone buzzed. New order received. I glanced at the screen and my stomach tightened. It was the same address, same meal, same instructions. But this time, the note was different. Come inside. I stare at my screen, my thumb hovering over the app. My first instinct was to cancel the order. Something about this felt wrong. But another part of me, the part that needed answers, wanted to see this through. So I accepted it. And I drove back to the house. When I pulled into the driveway, my hands were damp against the steering wheel. I told myself I was being stupid, letting my imagination run wild. I grabbed the pizza, stepped out of the car, and walked to the front door. The air was thick and humid, the way it gets right before a thunderstorm. Then I noticed something that made my pulse spike. The door was open. Not wide open, just a crack. Enough to see a sliver of the darkened hallway beyond. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to turn around, get back in my car, and drive away. But then I heard it. A voice, low and raspy, from inside the house. Come in. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I was in too deep. Maybe I needed to know who was behind these orders. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The house was freezing, the air thick with the faint scent of something stale. The hallway was narrow, leading into a dark living room. I waited for someone to appear, but no one did. The house was empty. I placed the pizza box on a small table near the entryway. My heart pounded in my chest. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from the delivery app. Order completed. Thank you for your delivery. I let out a shaky breath. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe someone was watching me, laughing at my reaction. I turned to leave. And that's when I saw it. A framed photo on the wall. It was old, black and white, faded around the edges. A family stood in front of the house, the same house I was standing in. A man, a woman, and a teenage boy. Something about the photo sent a chill down my spine. I stepped closer. And then I noticed the date written at the bottom. 1987. I left the house without looking back. I didn't take another order for the rest of the night. I just drove. By the time I got home, my nerves had settled a little. Maybe it was an old photo. Maybe it belonged to the current owner. The next Saturday night, I half expected the order to come in, but it didn't. And the Saturday after that, nothing. The repeat customer was gone. A few weeks later, curiosity got the best of me. I searched the address online. What I found made my stomach drop. The house had been vacant for years. The last registered occupants had moved out a decade ago. I closed my laptop, sat back, and tried to convince myself that it was just a mistake, a glitch in the system, someone using an old address. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stepped into something I wasn't supposed to. And I never took a delivery in that neighborhood again. A month later, I was finishing a late shift when my phone buzzed with a new order. I glanced at the screen, ready to accept. Then I froze. It was the same house. Same meal. Same instructions. But this time, the note simply said, "Welcome back." I didn't take the order. And I never drove that route again. For most delivery drivers, a late-night drop-off is just another routine stop. But what if the address you're delivering to doesn't exist? He was completing a normal order until his delivery disappeared without a sound. No door opening, no footsteps, and then a message from someone who shouldn't have had his number. What happened that night still haunts him, and the final message he received, that's what truly sent chills down his spine. Stay with us until the end, because this story will make you think twice before your next delivery. I've been doing food delivery for a couple of years now, mostly late nights. It pays decently, and I like the quietness of the job. No managers breathing down my neck, no coworkers to deal with, just me, my car, and the occasional chat with customers. That night was like any other. The weather was cold, the streets mostly empty, and I was just trying to knock out a few more deliveries before calling it quits. Around 1:30 a.m., I got a notification for an order from a small Italian place I had never delivered from before. Nothing strange about that. Seattle is full of hidden little restaurants that pop up overnight. The drop-off address was in an older part of the city, a cluster of apartment buildings I had never been to before. Apartment 3B. I accepted the order and drove toward the location, the warm smell of pasta filling my car. The neighborhood wasn't terrible, but it had that neglected feel, cracked sidewalks, dim streetlights that flickered inconsistently, and buildings that had seen better days. I pulled up to the address, a 3-story brick complex with a faded entry sign. The lobby light was out, making the entrance look even darker than it should have. I parked and checked the delivery notes. Leave a door. Do not knock. That wasn't too unusual. Plenty of people didn't like being disturbed late at night. I grabbed the bag and walked up the short flight of stairs to the 3rd floor. Apartment 3B was at the end of the hall. The door was plain, dark brown, with no decorations, no signs of life inside, no sound of a TV, no footsteps, just stillness. I pulled out my phone to confirm the address, then set the bag down carefully by the door. The moment I took my hand off the bag, my phone vibrated. "Thanks. Smells delicious." I froze. The notification wasn't from the delivery app. It was a direct text message. My personal number isn't listed on my delivery profile, and I don't give it out to customers. I turned back to the door and knocked, just to see if anyone would answer. No response. Something about the whole situation put me on edge. I bent down to pick up the bag, thinking I'd call support and report a possible wrong number, but it was gone. I didn't hear the door open. I didn't hear anyone step out. It was just gone. I took a step back, my stomach tightening. Maybe someone had opened the door quickly and snatched it without me noticing. That seemed unlikely, but I couldn't explain it any other way. I turned and walked back down the hallway, my pace quickening. Back in my car, I pulled up my delivery history to check the details again. But instead of saying completed, the order had disappeared from my history entirely. No record of the restaurant, the delivery, or the address. It was like the entire transaction had never happened. I opened my Maps app and typed in the address manually, thinking maybe I had misread something. But no results came up. The street was there, but the building wasn't. Now I was officially creeped out. I checked my phone's call history to see if I had missed anything, but there were no incoming or outgoing calls from the restaurant. I sat in my car for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel. Maybe it was just a glitch. Maybe I was overtired. Maybe. I didn't know. I was about to drive off when my phone vibrated again. "You were supposed to bring it to 3A. I glanced back up at the building, my skin crawling. There was no 3A. The doors on this floor were numbered sequentially. 3B, 3C, 3D. I hesitated for a moment before deciding to just leave. I didn't want to be here anymore. The whole thing was too weird, and my gut was screaming at me to go. I turned on my engine, but before I could pull away, I saw something in my rearview mirror, movement near the building entrance. A figure, barely visible under the dim streetlights. They weren't walking toward me or away from me. They were just standing there, watching. I didn't wait. I drove off, my hands gripping the wheel tighter than they should have. I kept checking my mirrors, but no one followed. No one was there. When I got home, I felt ridiculous. It was just a delivery. A weird one, sure, but nothing dangerous had happened. Maybe the address had been wrong. Maybe the customer had changed their mind. Maybe I just needed sleep. I took a shower, got into bed, and told myself to forget about it. But before I closed my eyes, I checked my phone one last time. A new message. Don't go back. Imagine ordering food from a restaurant you've never seen before, one with glowing reviews and mouth-watering photos. But what if, moments after placing your order, the restaurant vanishes? No phone number, no address, no trace it ever existed. And then, you get a message warning you to never order again. In this video, we dive into a real horror story. A simple late-night craving turned into something much more disturbing. Stay with us until the end, because what happened next will leave you questioning everything. It was a Friday night, and I had just settled onto my couch after a long work week. The city hummed faintly outside my window, the occasional honk or distant siren reminding me that even at midnight, New York never truly slept. I, however, was exhausted. My fridge was depressingly empty. I had promised myself I'd go grocery shopping, but after a grueling week, cooking wasn't an option. Scrolling through my phone, I opened my usual food delivery app. I wanted something warm, something comforting, pasta. That's when I saw a restaurant I'd never noticed before, Giovanni's Kitchen. 5 stars, hundreds of glowing reviews. Strange, I use this app all the time, yet I had never seen it pop up before. Maybe it was new? I skimmed the menu, and the photos looked incredible. Without thinking twice, I ordered a plate of fettuccine alfredo and a side of garlic bread. Estimated delivery, 35 minutes. Perfect. 20 minutes later, my phone vibrated. I expected a driver is on the way notification, but instead, my screen flashed with a message I had never seen before. Order canceled. No explanation. Just canceled. Annoyed, I refreshed the app and searched for Giovanni's Kitchen again. It was still there. Maybe a driver backed out, I reasoned. Frustrated, but still craving the meal, I reordered. This time, the confirmation went through as usual. Estimated delivery, 40 minutes. I try to shake off the weirdness and turn on the TV, letting a rerun of some sitcom play in the background. About 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Your driver is arriving soon. That was fast, I thought. Too fast. Then came the next alert. Your driver has arrived. I sat up, listening for a knock at my door. Nothing. I checked the app. The map showed the little car icon parked right outside my building. But no one had rung the doorbell. No text. No call. Just nothing. My heart picked up a little as I opened my door and peeked outside. The hallway was empty. The usual sounds of neighbors watching TV or talking were oddly absent. I checked the app again. Driver still outside. I had a doorbell camera. Pulling up the live feed, I saw a man standing at my doorstep, holding a brown paper bag. He wasn't moving. He just stood there, staring straight ahead. I tapped the mic button. Hey, you could just leave it by the door. He didn't react, didn't shift his stance. He wasn't looking at the camera, wasn't looking at anything. He just stood, motionless, holding my order. A prickle of unease ran down my spine. I watched for another few seconds. Then, growing impatient, I opened a door. But the hallway was empty. I stepped out, looking left and right. Nothing. The bag wasn't on the floor. No signs that anyone had just been there. Confused, I checked the app again. Order completed. I tapped on the driver's profile, but the app showed a blank gray silhouette where his photo should be. No name, no reviews, just a driver ID number. I called the number listed, but an automated message told me it was out of service. Annoyed now, I tried calling the restaurant. A robotic voice responded. The number you're trying to reach is no longer in service. I searched for Giovanni's Kitchen online. Nothing. No website. No social media. No listing on Google Maps. I checked the app one last time, but the restaurant had disappeared entirely. It wasn't just unavailable. It was like it had never existed. By now, my appetite was gone. My frustration had turned into something else. A discomfort I couldn't quite shake. I locked my door, double-checked it, and returned to my couch, trying to focus on the TV. Then my phone buzzed. A text message. Unknown number. Do not order again. I stared at the screen, a cold feeling creeping over me. I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I closed the app, deleted it, and tossed my phone aside. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe I had imagined something that wasn't there. Maybe I was just tired. But that night, as I lay in bed, hunger forgotten, I couldn't help but feel like I had dodged something I was never meant to find.